sound. Okay, let's get this thing started here. And I will start by introducing Larissa. Larissa Shmailo is the author of 6 collections of poetry, 2 novels, a writing workbook, and 2 poetry CDs. She is the original English translator of the avant-garde opera Victory Over the Sun and leads the Writing Resilience workshops. Take it away, Larissa.
I was
And
muted. Hello, thank you, John, our brilliant technical director. Dear poets and writers, welcome to Sustained Resistance in honor of Martin Luther King Jr. We are honored by your courageous voices. In the spirit of MLK Jr.'s activism and peaceful protest, we raise our voices today in resistance to an increasingly unhinged and despotic regime. They're murdering poets, dear friends. Renee Nicole Good, we read in memory of you and for Martin Luther King. Anyway, but don't worry today if your poem is not overtly political. The act of creating and sharing poetry is resistance in itself. Please remember to keep your sharing to 3 minutes, and and I look forward to hearing all of you. Without further ado, I will read a poem. Lager, NYC. You volunteer. Reichsgeboren. You choose to be here. Select. You volunteer. You know the difference between cause and effect. The people on the street are too stupid to have homes, too filthy to wash. See them root through the garbage. Nicht essen, aber fressen. Nie jesters rat. They deserve to be there. They deserve to be there. Select. Concentrate. See the dark people sitting in the cells. They deserve to be there. They deserve to be there. And the women of the Frauenblock, the Fräulein Triple X, control her, detain her, pick her up, select, cause and effect. You know which is which. Select. You volunteer. We see you on the job where you whisper half of what you think and none of what you feel. See the clock now. The digital tattoo says run now. Rush to the train, the transport. Who cares who gets in? Who cares who gets out? Push into the car, the transport. Who cares who gets home? Who cares who gets shot? Arbeit macht frei. You choose this. You choose. Select. Here, we find ourselves together in the subway, the Grand Case Central. Here in Case, your face is not a face. Ni лицо, морда. Your face is not a face, but a snout. We don't eat here, we devour. Nicht essen, aber fressen. Nie jesters rat. We don't give an inch, and we don't give a damn. Only weaklings fall to the tracks. God knows the difference between cause and effect. The selection is over. Look how it happened that you fell. You choose this. You choose this. Select. Now I am delighted to introduce our brilliant technical director, Jon Wesick, who is going to read a poem. Jon hosts a Gelato East Fiction open mic, as well as the Nav Arts poetry reading. His latest short story collection is St. John the Blasphemer. Take it away, Jon.
Thanks, Larissa. Escoffier grabs a burger. After John Steinbeck inaugurates the Trump Kennedy Center, Edwin Hubble gets his horoscope done, setting off a flash flood of intellectual foment. Simone de Beauvoir turns into Andrew Tate. Lord Haha blows Winston Churchill's mind. Stanley Kubrick remakes Birth of a Nation, and Aaron Copland replaces fanfare for the common man with Who Let the Dogs Out. Rachel Carson invests in coal. Jonas Salk delves into iridology. Charles Darwin searches for lizard people in the Galapagos. Carl Friedrich Gauss abandons mathematics for numerology. Coco Chanel wears Garanimals. Epicurus praises Jello. Isaac Newton is never without his lucky rabbit's foot, and Albert Einstein always forwards chain letters. Fyodor Dostoevsky watches Jerry Springer, and Virginia Woolf never misses Real Housewives. You can find Da Vinci painting Elvis on velvet at any gas station.
Thank you so much. Fantastic, John. Wonderful. And thank you for your brilliant technical direction. We're going to do a slight change in the order, and I'm going to bring up Eve Packer, Bronx-born poet, performer, actress. Grants and award include NIFA, Jerome Foundation, NEH, and NISCA. 4 poetry books, several poetry jazz CDs. Take it away, Eve.
First of all, thank you, everybody, and thank you, Larissa and John and everyone for this great event in this very difficult time. Here we go. 1/14/26, 7:01 p.m. Black and red, the shooting flames catapulting from the netherworld. Iran, Minneapolis, 26 Federal Plaza, Chicago, Supreme Court, Texas, Venezuela, Ukraine, Gaza, Greenland, coal and oil, and all you ever ask, a roof over your head, your hand, your heart, a stroll in the park, swim in the warm sea, small slice of, if not pie in the sky, day without pain, hot dog, and hunk of junior cheesecake. Thank you.
Thank you, Eve. Thank you so very much. We appreciate your reading today. Wonderful. It is now my very great pleasure to introduce Dana Henry Martin, whose forthcoming collections are Love and Cruelty from Meat for Tea and No Sea Here, Moon in the Rye Press. Martin is from Oklahoma and lives in Utah.
Dream and Sorrow, after Polina Kuznetsov. We can't decide what fell from the sky, bodies or bombs or crosses. I say all three. Crosses turned bodies into bombs, bombs into bodies. You think it starts with bombs, but it starts with crosses dropping to the ground like soldiers who are also bodies. The blessed. Blessed are those who dodge bullets, for theirs is the kingdom of gun makers. Blessed are students who fall, for they will be drawn in chalk. Blessed are the teachers, for they will inherit the shells. Blessed are those who report active shooters, for they will live filled with terror. Blessed are the medics, for they will be shown blood. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will no longer be children. Blessed are the lawmakers, for they will be called sons of industry. Blessed are those who were pulled from buildings because they survived. For theirs is the kingdom of weapons. The cage for the man who murdered Renee Nicole Good. I want to leave you in this sonnet with its 4 walls and interior rooms, to prune you like wisteria in a box garden, that emerald sea, maybe seal you inside a cloche, your breath clouding glass like frost's fog, cat-like, but you will not move on. You will never escape this bewildering cage whose lines now bind you and bind me, but not blindly. Here you are a gazing ball or holly that feeds waxwings, their paraffined backs to the sun, unaware of what you once were. How did you want to gird your life before you girdled your own bark? It's dark. The
Thank you.
gates are closing hard on this poem. Just one more turn. Lock yourself in, or I will.
That was wonderful, Dana. Thank you so very much. Beautiful reading, beautiful, beautiful reading. I am now delighted to introduce Alex Segal, who is a Russian-American poet and translator, awarded an NEA Fellowship in Literary Translation in 2015. His Russian Absurd, Daniel Harms, Selected Writings is from Northwestern University Press, 2017. Take it away, Alex.
Thank you, Larissa. Hello, fellow poets. I want to read a short poem, a translation of mine, of Osip Mandelstam, a poem from 1932. And I chose it because I wanted something that would serve as a memorial to Renee Good and an invocation to all of us to resist despair and to persist in our work. So this is to you, the community of poets, and it'll require 3 footnotes. It begins with an invocation. Friend, do not miss out on life, for the years are fleeting, and the fruit of the vine will not intoxicate us much longer. The poem is called To German Speech. It's dedicated to B.S. Cousin. That was my English translation of a Russian translation of a German romantic original. So that was E.C. Kleist in German. B.C. Cousin was a friend of Mandelstam's, who was a Lamarckian Soviet biologist and a noted translator of romantic poetry. The poem invokes Article 1, and which is the foundation and the cornerstone of the Soviet Big Lie. It's Article 1 of the Constitution, and it reads, "The task of the criminal code of the RSFSR is the protection of the social order of the USSR, its political and economic system, of the dignity, rights, and freedoms of its citizens, all of its forms of property, and of the entire socialist legal order from criminal assaults." And sorry. And the end of the poem invokes Lord Gustav Nachtigall, who was a German explorer and administrator of its colonies. And the irony of it is that they had rejected the idea of African inferiority, and its principle of its foundation was to get rid of the slave trade. To German Speech. Friend, do not miss out on life, for the years are fleeting, and the fruit of the vine will not intoxicate us much longer. E.C. Kleist. Killing myself, In constant contradiction, as a moth that flies into the midnight flame, I yearn to be delivered from our speech, for all I am internally indebted to it. Between us there is praise without flattery, and tight-knit friendship without hypocrisy. Let us then study seriousness and honor from the West, from an alien family. Poetry, beneficial to you are thunderstorms, and I recall a certain German officer, the hilt of a sword encrusted with roses, stuck on his lips the name of Ceres. In Frankfurt, the fathers were still yawning. None had heard neither hide nor hair of Goethe. Hymns were composed, horses pranced about, and just like letters in one place gambled. Tell me, my friends, in what corner of Valhalla were we so honored to crack nuts together? What splendid liberty we had at our disposal. What magnificent milestones you for me erected. As though directly out of the almanac's pages, out of its Article 1 criminal code innovation, descending undaunted into the crypt down steps as into a cellar after a mug of Moselle wine. An alien speech will be my warming ear husk, and much had happened before I dared be born. I'd been a letter, and I had been a verse of grape. I'd been a book that you are dreaming about. When I did sleep without complexion or storehouse, as by a shot's explosion, I was awakened by friendship. Lord Nachtigall, grant me the cursed fate of Pylades, or tear my tongue out. I have no need of it longer. Lord Nachtigall, I'm still being trained, recruited for novel plagues, for the 7-year abattoirs. Sound has constricted, all my words hiss, rebel, but you live on, and I'm in peace in your company.
Beautiful, Alex. Beautiful, Mandelstam. Thank you so much for that translation. You are a genius, absolutely a genius of translation. Thank you so very much. It is now my very great pleasure to introduce the fabulous Gloria Mindak, who is an award-winning author. Her recent book is Grief Touched the Sky at Night. She is editor of Chervena Barva Press.
Thank you, Larissa, and thank you, Jon. Before war, sadness arrives late morning. I expected it. My only solace is at 1 a.m. when all the houses are quiet, no car noise on the street, stars bright, and a calmness in the air. Happiness touches my skin in the moonlight. Energized, I know I should be asleep. Is there a way to switch hours, wake up happy and go to bed sad, sleep it off like a drunk each night? Another day, an unknown, the thankfulness of being alive continuously urges me to breathe. Sometimes even the wind gets tired. Maybe today it doesn't want to blow. Maybe today the earth would like to stop spinning. Gravity would like to let go. Imagine everything drifting into space, people and objects not mattering anymore. A stampede of floating humans surrounded by junk. Sometimes I like to forget all wars. Maybe someday they will stop. There will be no buttons to push, no nuclear missiles to end the earth. Maybe someday I will smile again and the warm air will be just warm, no fire to burn us to ash. Maybe someday I will see you again standing in the kitchen with a drink, not minding the darkness around us. The dark, a dream that awakened us. Reality is something we don't want. No light calling on our hearts to fix things. Maybe sometimes it feels good to forget. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gloria. That was fantastic. Wonderful reading. Thank you so very much. It is now my very great pleasure to introduce my friend and colleague, the very brilliant Bill Yarrow, who is the author of 12 books of poetry.
Thank you, Larissa. It's a pleasure to be here. It's nice to see everybody. I'm going to read 3 poems from my book called Accelerants. These are short poems. This is called Turbulence. Give all to turbulence, give all to risk. Let the rich membrane rip. Turn the volume of raw squawking up. Invite riot. Set tumult at your table. Punish politeness. Decorum is a villain. Moderation an assassin. The only chance for happiness is to excommunicate all calm. And this one is called Visiting Our Slab. Watch this space, sanded, painted, and polished like a braggart, calibrated like an artisan pipe bomb. The future in camera. What goes away can't stay away. Neither can one Google redemption, but go ahead and try. Pretend the marshlands aren't haunted. Pretend the buzzer won't beat the half-court shot. Pretend happiness. But as you gather the gorse of your longing, as you reticulate your infantry, as on your way out, you huddle your missiles yearning to bereave, leave us the legal recipe for the accelerant of hope. And the last one is called Sin Embargo. I like badness. Don't all the really good films have the word bad in their titles? The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Bad Day at Black Rock, Bad Lieutenant, Badass, The Bad and the Beautiful, The Bad Seed. Evil's another story, a story whose orphan narrator is misery, married to pain, son of suffering, sibling of spleen. I have seen evil. If you have too, you know there's but one bad way to get rid of evil. Retrieve the ragged dagger. The night is just weak enough for insurrection. Thank you.
Oh, you are such an amazing poet. Thank you so very much. I love your work. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Larissa.
It is now my very great pleasure to introduce Susan Chute, who is a poet, librarian, book artist, and curator founder, host of Next Year's Words, a New Paltz literary forum, now in its 12th year.
Hello, everyone. I'm going to read 2 poems. The first is called Dead Child Dance, and it was occasioned by me watching a 4-year-old dance around the floor, and it reminded me of this. Dead Child Dance. Legs a-kilter, one behind her, one pointing off stage, hands lifting her body, she arches, head thrown back, mouth open, eyes to the sky, dark curly hair dramatically tossed to the floor. She's 4. She's dancing. The floor is checked carpet. From behind, Elsa, blonde-haired princess embossed on a pink backpack, watches, attentive audience about to clap. Frozen. An empty pink water bottle toes the line. She wears my black skirt, the waistband falling below her undeveloped breasts. Child of Gaza, perform your hunger. You are pink-socked perfection, new to the world. You are on a narrow stage, the curtain only half open. This is the face. Pavon pour un enfant defunct. And the second one is titled On Attempting To, and it's, I guess, about trying to live in these frightening days. On attempting to. Today is to break the line of ancient appointments, to write commitments, to awaken or what? Today is to overlook the ever-worsening government mind, to not read the news, to defy unspoken essentials, to take the pulse of the heart home, if you can find it among the tiny veins of living, to give up remembering, to breathe. Today is to shake the images. Today is to stand up, silly, and stumble on the steps and start. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. That was wonderful. Wonderful reading.
Thank you.
I am now thrilled to introduce my friend and the wonderful musician, Michael McHugh, who is a poet, singer, songwriter, who works with musical artists. He first performed poems in New York City in 1980 at St. Mark's Church at Bob Holman's readings. Michael, take it away. You're muted, my friend.
No, I'm trying to get it to unmute. Can you hear
There
me?
you go. We hear
Okay.
you.
Okay, good. Okay, folks, you can hear me. So Dr. King's weekend, his birthday tomorrow. I'm kicking it off with a little piece of a song called All God's Children, and I'm reading as a poem. The song will be up on my website, Michael McHugh Music on YouTube. It's called All God's Children. All God's children need a reason to be free. The next generation is our responsibility. All God's children are searching for their dreams on the long, dark road of reality. And this is new. It's an epilogue from my book, 50 Years of Freedom. I just wrote it yesterday. My 50 years of freedom, from college years to senior life, a long, strange trip, peaks and valleys, highs and lows. Somehow there's a riddle in my writing desk that my mom, Arona McHugh, the best-selling author, talked about. Somewhere in a notebook that hopefully wasn't tossed out is the reason I changed my name to Mike America in 1979. My 50 years of freedom, after being a nose to the grindstone overachiever in high school, teen journalist, was in the who's who of American high school students, a bright future starting at Newhouse School of Journalism in Syracuse and UT Austin's Communication School. I ended up an ex-communication student pushing Patti Smith for Pope and dope and wrote poems and songs and breakfast with bongs. And then I ended up in the 80s village folk scene, singing, playing guitar, getting gigs for hundreds of acts. And after 50 years of free expression and building scenes, my 50 years of freedom ended. And the fascists came, and they began their reign of terror. Speaking truth to power, I put it all on Lucky 7. A third of the angels, they were kicked out of heaven. And now they're down here, and it's become a cult now. People on the streets asking for change are not ready to kowtow to a fat cat fascist. Speaking truth to power, time to let them know you will not bow down. 50 years of freedom, gone now. It's a new American revolution. 250 years of democracy. Can we save it? My parents fought the Nazis. A WAC and a merchant marine met on the way to post-war Germany on a ship called America. And now this son of America stands up for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Mike America, is running for president. Vote for Mike America. Michael McHugh, thank you so very
Thank you
much.
so much, Larissa. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. I am now delighted to introduce Donna Cartelli, who is a New York City poet and collagist. Donna, take it away.
I'm reading from a long piece about what we're going through called Pestilencia Mentis Golemica, which translates into Golem's mental plague, similar to how fears or beliefs can spread rapidly. And this is from the prologue called Golem Trumps His Political Forefathers. Tricky Dick left a slimy residue of duplicity, corruption, and policies for Golem to slither an American scheme about, to seize or control assets that would build up his ego, employing quid pro quo, extortion, other unsavory means with friendly or frightened compliance of billionaires, the business class, media, universities, red Congress, and countrywide political toadies, foreign entities with something to gain, something to lose, or too craven to say no. The manifest destiny to amass fortune, fame, unchecked clout, rubber stamped by scrotum that would make father of our country, Washington, weep, give Tricky Dick multiple hard-ons and jism dreams. And for the desperate and tattered Americans swallowing hopelessness and fear, Golem will poke at their insecurities, drive them to unrest, auto-pen executive orders to keep them safe and free, able to achieve the American dream. If only they believe in his bent reality. Those that do cleave to his bosom with its festering fungal infection that spreads, renders their brains dead, and turns their bodies into hosts until he grows. And like the rest of us, will be tossed into Potter's field or devolve into zombies, pant and rave, yes, with his plans to rewrite America's, red, white, and blue welcoming arms with white and gold, bulldoze democracy stone by stone. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Fantastic Pestilestia. We look forward to hearing the rest of that epic poem. Thank you again. I am now very pleased to introduce a surprise guest. Anne E. Wallace is Poet Laureate Emeritus of Jersey City. Her third collection, Keeping Room, is forthcoming this winter from Nixus Mate Books. Take it away, Anne.
Thanks so much. I'm really happy to be here in community with like-minded poets. It's a balm, right, to the soul. My poem is called Failure from Within. 1. Do you remember when a bridge collapsed in America's birthplace a few years ago? The perfect Molotov cocktail of accelerant, heat, and location caused total failure on I-95 in Philadelphia, diversion of 160,000 vehicles per day, disruption of the flow of 8% of the nation's economy, death of the driver. Consider the forces a bridge withstands every day: compression and tension, push and pull, torsion and shear. All it took was one truck driver who underestimated the angle of an exit, slammed into a wall, burst into flames, and generated enough heat to twist steel girders. 2. Some say our nation's infrastructure is failing, neglected, overused, worn by time. Engineers plan and test again. But nobody thinks to test what happens when the match is lit from below, when the fire starts from within. Maybe we never should have believed that precedent and potential are the same thing. Maybe we should have kept our eyes not on the road, but on the drivers. Maybe we have suffered from a failure of imagination, never thought an 18-wheeler carrying thousands of gallons of gasoline would melt the road it travels. 3. We never thought our leaders would give tours to insurrectionists, note the points of weakness, invite the attackers in. We never thought our president would order the demolition of an entire wing of the People's House, send troops into our cities to tear gas, arrest, wage violence against Americans. In Philadelphia, the breached roadway reopened in 12 days, the Capitol in D.C. in just a few hours, and 7 million people have stood up and spoken out in small towns and large cities across this nation, testaments all to the power of we the people, to the power of ingenuity, determination, teamwork, each one a flash of hope as we muster our reserves to repair each new breach we failed to imagine. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne. Beautiful verse and beautiful reading. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Now it is my very great pleasure, very great indeed, to introduce the fabulous Christina Lessie, who is a native of New Jersey. She writes poetry and prose. Currently, she is at work on a novel and full-length book of poetry, published in Poetry Superhighway, Bards New Jersey Anthology 2025, Scapegoat, and Raven's Perch. Take it away, Christine.
Hi. I have two poems. So I'll start with one. The first one is my attempt at a little hip hop poem. Yo, let's kick it. Stop. Collaborate. Get out on the streets. ICE is here and they're armed to the teeth. It don't matter if you're black, brown, or white, or a mom in a car with a dog. It ain't right. Under pressure. ICE is here and they're armed to the teeth. Get your ass out on the streets. Record those trigger-happy thugs with long guns on your phones. Document them as they break into people's homes, playing a role in their masks. Proud Boys, 3%ers, 1,000 lies from the government and the VP. No such thing as absolute immunity, Captain Maybelline. A woman is dead and the politicians preen under pressure. It's a powder keg. Keep marching peacefully. Put one foot in front of the other. You remember Santa Claus is coming to town? You know, the claymation show from back in the day? The Burgermeister and his goons who wouldn't let Santa Claus come with his sleigh. They were Nazis too, you know. They didn't even like kids to have toys. But in the end, the people got rid of them. The tide is turning. This too will pass. Get your feet marching on concrete, badass, under pressure. Yo, let's kick it.
Thank you so much, Christine. Fabulous. Thank you very much for that wonderful reading.
Okay. Is that okay?
Ruth is sick today. Unfortunately, will not be reading. We will miss her and hope that she feels better. It is now my very great pleasure to introduce my friend and a brilliant poet, a very brilliant poet, Michael T. Young, whose fourth collection is Mountain Climbing a River, published by Broadstone Books this month. Michael, we look forward to hearing you.
Thank you, Larissa. Hello, everyone. This poem, I'll just read one. This one is from Mountain Climbing a River. It just came out on the 15th. This is called Holding My Daughter as We Listen to the News. This was actually written back when they had the Unity rally back in 2017. Unity, in quotes there. Holding my daughter as we listen to the news. Because the radio repeats their name, my daughter asks what a Nazi is. I want to tell her they're people from the past, that they march in movies and books, and in faraway countries her school lessons haven't yet charted on the maps. But the voice on the radio names Virginia, where her uncle and aunt live. So there's no lying to spare her. Besides, should I spare her? How do I tell my daughter that some people made lampshades out of other people? How do I assure her that even though there are now Americans who admire those lampshades and praise those people, her grandpa from Guyana is safe? Her aunts and uncles won't be shot because their skin is brown. Do I leave the radio on and face the questions, or do I turn it off? How long do I hold her after the questions are over? And is it enough that she eventually stops shaking? Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That was wonderful. I'm looking forward to reading your wonderful collection.
Thank you.
It is now my great pleasure to introduce fellow curator Elizabeth Morse. Elizabeth Morse's first full-length poetry collection, Unreasonable Weather, was published by Kelsey Books in 2025. One of the poems in this book was nominated for a Pushcart Prize. Take it away, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Larissa. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Advance to Boardwalk or Park Place, going clockwise around the board. Luckily, you pass go and collect $200. Everybody plays Monopoly, whether they know it or not. Some say the business news is frightening, but it must be read. Someone has to control assets and prices, not to mention rejoicing in the bankruptcy of others. Or do they? Advance to the Reading Railroad. It's an airline now, and many air traffic controllers are gone. Saves expenses. Safety? Who cares? Better to be a billionaire that way. The objective of the game is owning everything. Tax the winners? Why punish success? Losers can't make anything of themselves. Budget wisely, work hard, bootstraps included. It's not the free market the way they think or the way the Wall Street Journal tells it. Monopolies, duopolies, trusts. The guy selling halal food on the corner has real competition. Rent is due. Final credit card declined. It's $6,000 a month now. I can't, I say. I just don't have it. The landlord says, what do you think this is? Monopoly money? Now I advance to homelessness? No, but I get only $200 a week. Only when I pass go. It's not a living wage. No, I can't budget better. Rent is too high. It's just an apartment, not a green plastic house or red plastic hotel. What do I do? I've borrowed enough. Credit cards are maxed out. Go to court? The landlord has better legal representation, but there are holes in my ceiling and plumbing that overflows. Could I withhold rent for that? Greed fuels insider trading, union busting, exploitive labor practices. Plutocrats win the game. Corporations are people now. It's always Wall Street, never Main Street, or God forbid, the Bronx. I can only hope that they will get this card. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Pay a living wage. Lower rents. Bust trusts, monopolies, and duopolies. Luxury tax is on the board, but it's not enough. Advance to income equality. And now I'm very pleased to introduce Thaddeus Rutkowski. He is the author of 8 books, most recently Safe Colors. He received a New York Foundation for the Arts Fellowship and a Best Small Fictions Award.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. Just like to thank Larissa and Elizabeth and all the hosts for putting this this reading together. I'm going to read just a passage from my latest book. It's called Safe Colors. I'm holding it up. It's called Safe Colors, art by my daughter of the East River Park on the cover. This is a childhood scene, kid sitting at home with his parents. At home, my father ranted to my family about the upcoming election. Capitalism has had its day, he said as we sat at the supper table. Soon we'll vote out the fat cats, and we'll have socialism. After that comes communism. We'll have no private property. My neighbor can come to my house and take what he needs. If he wants my fishing rod, he can take it. If he needs my car, he can take that too, as long as he gives it back. I'll need to stock up soon, my father added, so I can be ready for shortages when the revolution comes. I'm going to the beer distributor today. He had one beer that I could see. It was a long-necked brown glass bottle standing next to his plate. I'm a Chinese immigrant, my mother said. I can't vote. The East is red, my father said. Mao came to save the Chinese people. He installed indoor plumbing, my mother said. I never liked going to the bathroom outside. Where did you go? My sister asked. We had a latrine. It supplied nutrients for the fields. Mao was a leader, my father said, the first real leader since the Great Khan. He was no peacemaker. He built toilets, lots of them. He got rid of open sewage, my mother said. I was always afraid of getting dysentery. A revolution is not a garden party, my father said. Thanks.
Now I'm thrilled to introduce Randy Hoffman. She is an East Village-based writer, journalist, and teacher who often produces work about motherhood, feminism, and education.
Hi, everybody. I teach at a community college, so I wrote this about my students. This is one of the few non-sarcastic pieces I've written about work. Okay. Survivors, you are here in your seats. You are working on assignments. You have brushed your hair and your teeth and put on clothes you like and taken the bus to get here, or circled the campus numerous times trying to find a parking spot. Despite not having enough food, despite the sexual abuse, despite violence in your home, despite no one believing in you, despite having to take care of your younger siblings and or your grandparents, despite working a boring low-wage service job where you have to smile at rude people all day for minimum wage. So you try to concentrate, to bend your mind in ways you are not used to, and grapple with words and language you're not sure about. Maybe it's been years since you've been in high school, or maybe your high school didn't expect much of you, or maybe you dropped out of high school to birth a child, or support yourself and your family, or you're from a country where school is very different, where it was all about memorizing and your own ideas weren't so important. So now you struggle with grammar, you smile, you wonder what you have to do to pass, and wonder if knowing how to write a thesis sentence will really matter in your nursing or construction management career. I only hope that my class is at best an oasis from everyday drudgery, and maybe you can enjoy writing just a little.
Next, I'm delighted to introduce Miriam Stanley. She's an art therapist. She's worked in a city hospital with patients with severe mental illness. It informed her of the social economic inequalities in healthcare. Miriam Stanley has performed and had her poetry published since 1988.
Okay, do you hear me? Can people hear me? All right.
Yes.
Okay. This is called January 2nd, and it was not this January 2nd. And it's about my work. And I'm sure people know that there's nurses on strike right now. Okay. It was the year my colleague's father died. Ashy Brooklyn winter. When the snow was not plowed but tracked through with people's boot prints, and you would step into the stump shapes like a train on rails. The central provinces stark as a Gogol village. When I arrived at the clinic, patients with family problems stood, racked up like dirty dishes awaiting attention. After a 3-day weekend, when domestic wounds fester. And Lucette stands aloof, staring at the dining room clock, waiting for the locked kitchen to open, before elbows and knees slowly bend and she collapses like a kicked card table onto the floor. A code 66 is announced and the nurses fly from their desk like frightened pigeons. She is rushed to the medical ER, blood drawn, vitals done, malnutrition horribly bared like a stripped nun. Lucette cries silently. Shame wields that belt with buckle swinging hard against her face. She confesses that for 3 days she ate nothing, just clutched the stomach with the phone turned off, did not have money for groceries. I remember once sobbing silently in shul. 40 years passed begging for God to give me cancer as I had nothing to eat. A girl saw my tears and asked what was wrong. She brought me to a family who gave out meals. Lucette, now deflowered of pride, is willing to be led like a child that is lost. Now I have one more. Chasing what is gone. Sometimes you pursue peace after it's left the station. Running behind, you yell out, but nobody hears. You try too late, like a lover in a doomed romance, and soon God draws down his curtain. Happiness rots inside your knapsack with a change of clothing. You did not think of peace until you found out about war, when the sacred was throttled by the profane, when friends began weeping into pillows, and the sun lurked behind ash in the sad, sad sky, and the scared ran around, clutching whistles, as speech hid behind secret signals and surreptitious nods, for peace was ignored until it's not. Like a beautiful housefrau or a well-behaved child, and now you chase what was taken for granted after you were spreading your legs or trying gumbo or begging that cute little number at the end of the bar. And sometimes I cry thinking about my own mistakes. But loss is truly dark matter, impossible to see, but easy to feel. That's all.
Thank you, Miriam. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Nina Gluckselig. She is a member of Larissa Shmailo's Writing Resilience Workshop and has been published in the Writers Resilience Anthology and Poetry Superhighway online journal.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. So glad to be here. My poem is called Can I Understand? My whole life, images never far from my consciousness. Even as I rode my bicycle with a banana seat and tassels on the handlebars, down the block, fast, on Haven Avenue in New York City. Even as I got a fine education, even as I played music, read books, traveled the world, married and had children, worked hard to heal the vulnerable. I always see people in cattle cars, bodies pressed against each other, thirsty, hungry, trying to figure out where to piss and shit. In the camps, meningitis, dysentery, tuberculosis, skin ulcers and blisters, heads shaved, striped uniforms, numbers tattooed on arms, cold, no comfort, families torn apart, who will live, who will die, left, right, told they were going for a shower. My parents managed to avoid the camps, my mother running for her life across the border to Hungary, my father on a boat to New York in 1939 with his brother, $8 between them. After, my mother arrived in New York City in an ocelot coat and a blue silk dress. She couldn't get out of bed, afraid to go out without her papers, smoking cigarette after cigarette, a vodka and soda, V. Barova, at 5 p.m. I see my father drawing in his studio, his rapidograph pen scratchy on the paper, listening to Mozart, Bach, Beethoven, delicately caring for my mother's broken soul. He found a way to live. She could not. Today I imagine a tank rolling down my street. Is it so far-fetched? Will I be rounded up? I am a woman, a Jew, a dissenter. I can't lie. I am afraid. We are in a new time of innocents deported to desperate conditions in prisons in El Salvador. I see people crowded in cells, hungry, dirty, inhuman smells. The cruel, misogynistic, sociopathic criminal, an innocent poet murdered. She will not be the only one. I never thought my imaginings would become the reality. I understand. I can't understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce, I'm Dorothy Cantwell. Her work appears in many print and online journals. Her poem, Edward Under the Sky, Brownstone Anthology 2024, was a Pushcart Prize nominee. Thank you so much for coming, Dorothy. Really appreciate that. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you for doing this. I just have two short form poems. A teacher once told me that when you have a very big subject, when there's a lot of stuff, that sometimes it helps to crystallize it into a form. And there's a lot of big stuff out there now. This is in no way directed at the people who are already fighting the good fight. This is Villanelle. It's called We Are All Complicit After All. Every day we reap the benefits of this sick and twisted game, imagining ourselves virtuous, guiltless in our dreams, rewarding corruption with cash and cruelty with fame. There are men who trade in war and death without a bit of shame, making millions from the carnage and deaf to mothers' screams. Every day they reap the benefits of their twisted, sick games. Their homes are heaped with luxury, lifestyles with acclaim. We envy them their bank accounts and fall for all their schemes, rewarding corruption with cash and cruelty with fame. Drinking blood of babies, they build weapons built to maim, promise money and alliance to corrupt and cruel regimes, and we vote to reap the benefits of this sick and twisted game. They fill their hungry coffers, refuse to take the blame. We dig into our pockets, needing more and more, it seems, rewarding corruption with cash and cruelty with fame. They stir us all to hate and fear, to stoke the desperate flame. We call out their lies and fester in our outrage and extremes. Every day we reap the benefits of their sick and twisted game, rewarding corruption with cash and cruelty with fame. And And the next poem is A Golden Shovel. And it is based on the line, "Or the land of the free and the home of the brave." It's just one of the golden shovels in this sequence. There are screams of anguish the whole world o'er as bombs burst, shattering towns, villages, and the bodies of sleeping children, poisoning the land, water, and air with the unmistakable stench of death. No one who has ever breathed the smell of burnt flesh is ever the same, ever free from horror. Oh, the seduction of power and victory over imagined enemies, over the sons of other mothers who have also left home with savage desires for triumph, glory, in search of an image of themselves as a champion, the undefeated, conquering hero, blessed and brave. Thank you, and thank you all for listening.
And now it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Dorothy Friedman August. She is a widely published poet and editor with 2 NYFA awards, an Acker, and others. She's published 3 books of poetry, 2 more forthcoming, Open-Ended and As If. She's currently completing a memoir, The Bastard Heirs.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. I hope you can see this. So I'd like to begin by showing you this photo of a baby with a gun in his lap, which was taken by Gary Azon and is part of his collection now being shown at the Tompkins Square Library. I'll let you draw your own conclusion. Okay, so I'm going to read 2 poems. One is The Very Same People. The Very Same People. This was anthologized in some international anthology put out by Shalom Newman, I believe. And when we heard the news that Diallo had been shot 41 times by mistake, we pictured the shooting in our minds and wondered how many times it took and how many seconds it took to kill a person, to get the body to lie down in a pool of blood, to stop moving. When did the last twitch occur? How many seconds passed? Amadou Diallo, when he reached for pictures of his wife and son, I imagined I was reaching for my own umbrella when he reached for his wallet. Amadou Diallo was reaching for what it was like to be reaching for something and then shot 41 times. And I imagined what it was like to be shot 41 times in front of my own door, reaching for my keys. And my face merged with the sea of faces darker than my own, because I know what it's like to be suspect, to look suspicious, to be offbeat. As you pace in the holding tank at Cabrini Medical Center, surrounded for hours in a small room, your small 98-pound frame stumbling, a threat to the structure as the guards follow you to the bathroom and strip off your clothes. Aren't these the very same people then who sodomized Abner Louima in the police station and forced their nightsticks up his rectum over and over, breaking his sphincter muscles as he gagged in the toilet bowl? Yes, aren't these the very same people who at Tompkins Square Park on the roof of the Wawa hut just across the street had their rifles aimed at the homeless people living there in tents? And aren't these the very same people who shot Renee Nicole Good in the head 3 times? Aren't these the very same people? As if, it's my second poem, as if the children in Kenya are not our children, as if the marches hadn't already happened, as if we are not echoing Vietnam and Nagasaki, as if we can escape our own brutality, as if the Israelites weren't fleeing to Jerusalem, as if the world weren't coming to an end, as if medication were the answer, or medication or mediation, as if living simply were the answer, or singing or worshiping Buddha, as if our offspring were not all stunted by the fastidious blends and byproducts of last century's karma, as if battered women and child abuse were really another issue, as if changing the TV channel could erase our complicity in the destruction of the planet, as if the Israelis are not our children, as if the Palestinians are not our children, as if the Rwandans are not our children, as if Ukrainians are not our children, as if the Russians are not our children, as if the elderly are not our children, as if the homeless are not our children, as if we can avoid each other by living in cyberspace, as if email could replace the human connection, as if we could love one another and not go crazy, as if we could love one another and not go crazy, as if we could love one another and not go crazy, as if life is not relentless, as if we could ever be in paradise again, as if the action in Venezuela will give Trump higher ratings, as if the cartoons were any less violent, as if only Putin is bloodthirsty, territorial, and savage, as if Trump is only bloodthirsty, territorial, and savage, as if we are all not bloodthirsty, territorial, and savage, as if we could flee to Jerusalem, as if there is a Jerusalem, as if the commencement of the Gulf War on Martin Luther King's birthday were not an appropriate measure of American racism and totally in keeping with everything else, as if the gunning down of Diallo and the brutal rape of Louima were not totally in keeping with everything else, as if penetration of the enemy is not a male activity, as if the media ever really told the truth, if only, as if. Thank you all. And now I would like to introduce my first reader. My first reader is Pete Solomita. Pete is a poet who publishes several collections. He's the host of the podcast Storytelling on Orchard Street and produces the very swell variety show in Park Slope in Brooklyn. So please welcome Pete Solomita. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let the poets have their say. Give them a listen. It's a brand new day and a new year, too. Heed their warnings of the state the world is in. Let them weave stories about the fragility of mankind, the inner struggles that we face, and pain on a grand scale. We'd like to write of utopia, but it's now a co-opted brand. It's so damn hard to keep faith. Many of us lose that game without trying, watching life get away from someone else's master plan. But we keep on wielding a pen, even if change is less than infinitesimal. It's part of our fabric that's getting torn and frayed. Yet this room is full of poets wearing their hearts on their sleeves. We read in brotherhood and sisterhood a shared vision that things could be better if we just let the poets, the artists, the musicians, the dancers, the dreamers, the people with a vision, the lovers of fairness, the lovers of truth have the power to run things. I have one more. It's called Bully in the Schoolyard. This is my response to what's going on with ICE in the streets. It's called Bully in the Schoolyard. He was just itching to kill. It was so deep in his being, there was no place left for love. He shot targets in empty fields with images of those he loathed. There were no rules to follow or laws that would get in his way. The bully in the schoolyard grew up with so much hate, there was no end to it. The light was green for murder his way. His cosplay so long he was a natural. Combat boots without a nick and a shine that reflected just how serious the violence was on the ready. Camouflage just bought like brand new, bought from a catalog, a mask to hide his face. He was part of a club of like-minded racists. This was a dream come true. Finally, an outlet for all their pent-up rage. Been bubbling so long, the explosion would be cataclysmic. There were people of color, people who spoke another language, immigrants that were getting in his way. The bully was unleashed by those in power who applauded violence and distraction. It was good for their bottom line. And his chance finally came with the pull of the trigger, blood spilled on the ground. He was finally in his rightful place, and there was no stopping him now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Pete Dolomita. Okay, our next reader is Jan Schmidt. Is Jan here? Jan Schmidt.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. Okay. Jan Smith is an editor of the literary magazine Cable Street. Her fiction has appeared in Solstice, Kalox, and several other places, Tupelo, Quarterly, and others. Please welcome Jan Schmidt, an old friend from the 80s who was actually in our New York Women's Salon at Susan Sherman's in the mid 80s, I believe. So thank you for being here, Jan.
Oh, Dorothy, thank you. Oh my God, you just set me back to 30 years. That's 40 years. I don't know. It's amazing.
Amazing. And right, your association with J.D. Rage, of course.
Yes, yeah.
Great poet.
I'm sorry. I have the flu. I just got back from the emergency room. I have the flu. I'm glad it's not anything more, but my voice is kind of messed up or whatever. But
glad you made it here. I did get some message that you weren't feeling that well. So.
Yeah, and I was really happy that I got here just at the thing. And yesterday and what I heard today, everybody's fantastic. It's a great reading. Anyway, I'm going to read a little piece from my a memoir that I'm working on called Book of Miracles. In September, I returned from my trip to Wisconsin, still caught in the shock from seeing my son in the hospital after his stroke. He was out now, doing better, walking with a walker. New York City jolted my already jolted system. My first day back, and like an automaton, I had followed my usual Saturday routine, AA meeting at 10 and my African dance class in the afternoon. Now I was slouching along First Avenue in the East Village to catch my bus at the stop below Houston. Even thinking of my son's predicament, I couldn't help but revel in the sounds, the light, and the rhythm of New York City. In Wisconsin, the city streets were free of pedestrians. Everyone drove wherever they were going. Occasionally, someone would ask me about the gritty, mean streets of New York City. Wasn't I afraid? As I approached the red light at 3rd Street, a young man, maybe in his 20s, had stopped to let the cars pass. When I arrived, he grabbed my hand. "Come on, I'll get you to the other side." He led me across the street. It reminded me of Phil Parker's qualification some years ago in our AA meeting. As a child, I was a sunbeam for Jesus. I'd even help little old ladies across the street, whether they wanted to go or not. I laughed along with everyone when he said this, never dreaming I'd be that little old lady. My new friend continued to walk with me, still holding my hand in his. Me, a gray-haired white lady, he, a young black man. I wondered if he might be trying some con, attempting to hustle me. But mainly his eyes didn't have the cold, empty stare or the quickly darting eyes of the pure crazy. Plus, there was something about him, something kind and genuine, something open. When we reached 2nd Street, I said, "I lived in an apartment on this street for over 40 years. We had to move when my husband had trouble climbing up the 4 flights." "Husband, what's he going to say when he sees you holding hands with a black man?" "He'd beat your ass. He's a black man too." He looked at me, maybe seeing me for the first time. "What would he do if I was white?" "He'd beat your ass either way," I said, laughing. I didn't mention that Arthur, at 87, wasn't doing a lot of ass whipping, though he could be if the situation warranted it. After crossing Houston Street, he stopped. "Do you mind if I ask how you and your husband met?" "We met 37 years ago at a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. We have 37 years clean and sober now." "Oh," he said, "I'm on my way to an NA dance on Madison Street. I have 18 months. His eyes glowed with recognition. We were related. Some mysterious force had allowed my new friend to reach across the barriers of negativity, judgment, age, race, and sex to help me, and I'd allowed myself to accept his help. In my fear for my son, I needed the comfort of his warm hand. Ah, the mean streets of New York City.